This is a special edition of the On Screen Blog podcast. I'm your host, Greg Earhart, editor of On Screen Blog, which is a section of OnStage Blog and OnStageBlog.com. And joining me today is someone OnStage Blog Theater podcast viewers and listeners will recognize. It is the co-host, Jacklyn Collier, and star of the new Hallmark movie, Double Scoop. Jacklyn, congratulations on that, on your new Hallmark movie. How was it? Oh,
Thanks, Greg. It was, first of all, thank you for having me on to talk about this. I love getting to do the Onstage Blog podcast. I could talk about theater all day, every day, and that that really enables me to do it a lot. So thank you for that.
yeah, of
Um,
course.
I had a blast doing Double Scoop. It was so much fun. It was one of those experiences that, as someone who knows that I always wanted to be an actor, it was one of those experiences that, although it in many ways it felt like a dream come true, it was never really on my bucket list because as a theater girl, I kind of always thought when I was younger and even in college and then grad school, I thought I was just going to be doing theater for my whole life. And that was something that I was very happy about. So being in a movie wasn't ever really on my radar. Like when I was
Hmm.
really little, it was something that was like, oh, it'd be cool to be in the movie someday. But I'm really such a theater person that it wasn't until probably about 7 or 8 years ago that I started to have an interest in doing more TV and film.
Yeah, yeah. And so for those who don't know, so Double Scoop is I think premiered August 23rd on the Hallmark Channel. You can watch it on Hallmark Plus. And it is so you play a supporting character. You play the basic plot of Double Scoop is it's a guy and a girl, Nora and James. They're both ad executives. They're both going for the same client. I'm skipping a couple story beats, but they're both going for the same client, which has to be ice cream. An ice cream place
Yep.
that is the most delicious ice cream that's ever been. And they fall in love. They're competitors, and then they fall in love. And Jacklyn, you play. Oh my gosh, I forget your character's name, but
No, it's okay. Everyone, we were on a podcast, the two leads and I, and everyone forgot. Everyone was reminding each other of the other person's names. I play Shannon, and it's Nora and James
Shannon.
that fall in love. But when we were on the last podcast, we did the three of us together. We were all like, "Wait, who did was I? Yeah, that was your name. That was your name."
Right. So you play Nora's best friend. You're there sort of her sage, and you're pregnant also during the movie. You're expecting a kid, and you're in a few key scenes during the movie. So it's an important role for the movie. And to I really only have kind of two fundamental questions, part of which is um there's more qualified hosts who will really get into nitty-gritty of Hallmark. This was my very first Hallmark movie, I'm pretty certain I've ever watched. And let me
Oh,
tell
I knew
you,
you were. Wait, I actually didn't know that. I knew that you weren't like a Hallmark aficionado, but I didn't know this was your actual first one.
pretty sure maybe I've watched 20 minutes of something else. We don't, so we have, I don't think I ever got it on DirecTV when I had that for a while, and it's certainly not part of the YouTube TV channel, so I've certainly never watched it as part of that. But it was funny watching it because I'm so used to watching movies with like life or death stakes, on it. And this reminded me, and this is not an insult. What I'm about to say is truly not an insult. It reminded me of a Disney Channel movie, because I watched Zombies and Descendants of my daughter. So I'm kind of used to
Yes,
that. And I just wasn't ready for that kind of movie, but on an adult level sort of thing. And it was
yes.
kind of refreshing where the stakes are just sort of like, two people just trying to figure out relationships and love and dating and all that, because that's what most of life is like, a lot of times. So
And
just
it feels easy. It feels relaxing. You know where the
mhm.
plot is going. You know where it's going. You know where we're going to end up. It's very familiar to people.
Yeah, right. And this is even getting into the Christmas movies and what I'm sure,
Hmm.
the appeal. That's, I think, Hallmark's bread and butter.
Yeah.
They do Christmas in July. They come out with new Christmas movies every day, starting with Thanksgiving, probably, or
You're
maybe even
exact.
earlier than
Oh, actually, even earlier than that, even before Halloween.
that. Oh, gosh.
Get ready, Greg, because now you're a fan.
Well, if Hallmark did Halloween, original Halloween movies, it could be all about love, dating, relationships. Like I'd probably be in, to be honest. Halloween's my holiday, so I truly watch this with so I'm a total watch this as a total novice to the Hallmark structure, and the questions I would ask would be totally foreign to any Hallmarkies and Hallmark fans that would watch it. So I really have two questions that relate to more of a it's a movie and theater kind of topics and things that relate to that, which is obviously where I come in and my perspective. So, Jacqueline, let me just ask. So, one of the most common questions we at OnStage blog get when it comes to theater, people asking us to write about how do you make it onto Broadway? How do you make it onto the big stage? Like, what are the secrets there? And we don't write about it because obviously we've never done it. We could tell about how to make a blog that's really successful and one of the biggest theater blogs in the world, but we don't have any experience in that. So whenever we interview people who have made it into Broadway as any type of role on stage, when you make it a Broadway in any role, you've made it, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. Even on screen. So, Jacqueline, making it on a Hallmark movie in a supporting role is you made it farther than 99% of actresses, out there trying to do it. So two aspiring screen or stage actors, you can it's either. If you want to stick to screen, that's fine. What would you attribute your keys to success to make it this far, to be on a Hallmark movie?
Um, I would say it's a combination of a lot of things, but I think starting with training, and that can look different to different people, and that can be a variety of things. For me, I coach a lot of young actors now. Most of them live in New York City. They have the best classes money could buy, not just the
Right.
ones that I teach, but they're at the
Wow.
Stage Door Manor, they're at French Woods, they're
Yeah.
studying with the best voice teachers, they're doing all this stuff. For me as a kid, I was living Mount Carmel, Pennsylvania, super small rural town, but I cannot believe that we had the good fortune um to have a community theater that it wasn't even like this. It wasn't like it was this amazing, well-known community theater, but it had so much heart. So I've been on stage since I was 6 years old. Then I went to study acting in a BA program. So it wasn't super theater focused. It was a liberal arts education. But
Mhm.
then every summer I would go and do some sort of summer stock. And then I knew that I really wanted to focus on acting. So I went to grad school. That's not the path that everyone should or needs to take. But then even when I came to New York, I was immediately being in acting classes. And it's not just the classes or the lessons and all these things, but it's really just having people that you can connect with and practice all the time. Like even just getting your friends together, whether it's in um we had this, I mean, I think about it now and it feels so cringe. But when I lived in Astoria with a bunch of roommates who are all actors, we created this group called Astoria Actors Unite, where we would just like film footage of ourselves and we create characters and we do improvisations and things like that. So for me, training, that was a huge part of it. I think if I'm putting it in like three buckets, it's training, it's luck, which you can't really say anything more about that. It's like there's luck and privilege like go hand in hand with each other. Like I have had so many privileges in my life. Like I grew up in this small town. I was a first generation college student, but because of that, um, I got a scholarship to an amazing school for first generation college students. So in some ways, what people would look at as a lack of privilege of being a first generation college student actually ended up for me being one of the biggest privileges that I could possibly have. So there was so much luck that has gone into this career as well.
Okay, so we got the luck part of it. So you said practice,
Yeah.
training, luck slash privilege, and then there's a third you were teasing, a third aspect
Um,
to it.
relationships that you
Okay.
have with people. And here's the thing about this. Like I think that what is so interesting about this is there's lots of ways that people talk about this. People talk about nepotism, nepo babies. People talk about oh well they must have known someone. People talk about networking like it's a dirty word. But the way that I look at it and really feel this in my bones and in my heart and in my soul is that, we all started out playing. Like, if you're an actor and you're really acting because you love it, you wanted to play with your friends. It
Right.
wasn't, at least for me, it wasn't about, I mean, like, sure, especially when I was younger, getting applause was fun. And you're like, yay, people like me and I'm broken inside. So this feels good. But ultimately, the most fulfilling things were getting to play with your friends.
Yeah.
And I think that when you can create an artistic, creative community of collaborators, that people that you want to keep working with again, I think that's so special. And I think that something that I feel really grateful that I've been able to do is develop these relationships. And through these relationships, um, not only book jobs for myself, but have the opportunity to say, "Oh, hey, my friend's awesome. Like, you
Hmm.
should you
Yeah.
should look at her for this." And I
Yeah.
think that I have never um I have never had the experience of this business being cutthroat. I mean, also, like, I'm not a musical theater person, so I was never at the cattle call auditions. I was never getting cut or typed out. I was in a very different, and still am in a very different, like, pocket of the industry. So I know that that's there, and I know that it can be very damaging and hard on people. But I've been really lucky and also purposeful about the people that I surround myself with. And I think also thinking about, it's not just about like, oh, how can I get ahead or who can I know that can help me? It's about like, oh, wait, who can I connect with each other? Like, oh, these people might get along, or these people might have a vibe with each other. Oh, this person would be good for this. And instead of it, like, I know for me, whenever I just did it the other day, I connected a friend with a casting director. And I don't look at it as doing a favor for her or a favor for him. I'm like, she's amazing. Everyone should cast her and everything. She's actually been on OnStage blog podcast Zern Villanueva. She's incredible.
Okay.
Five-time
Yep.
Broadway girl. Um, but I'm like, oh, they're both going to be lucky to know each other. So I think the relationships are so important. And I would caution, or not caution, I would say, like, I would get excited for young actors to be like, find people that you just really like and think are really talented and ride until dawn with those people. Like, really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy your time with them because you're all going to be coming up together and that's really fun.
Right. Right. No, that's great. That's great advice. I wanted to get to, so I want to get to the actual movie. Here comes question two. I really, I'm not saying this just because you're on here. I thought your first scene with Nora was the best scene of the whole movie.
Oh,
just being
wait,
on,
really?
just being on.
Thank
I
you.
do, I do. Yeah, no, I mean it. Well, it was just because I think of how well you acted the character Shannon in a very small scene, but you still I felt like I knew the character even after just, several lines of dialogue, even though it's not really about you,
Right, right.
you play a quirky best friend, you were very expressive. You used your eyes really well in the scene. Your tonation was really good. And again, it's a small scene, but I felt like in addition to learning about Nora and her struggles, obviously that's your exposition. I got to know about your character, Shannon. And that leads me to the question of, can you explain your process as it comes to, again, supporting character? You've got some, I'm sure you had an outline of the character. Obviously, you knew your character was probably gonna be pregnant in
Mhm.
it, probably quirky. You probably had to tell me about how you filled in the lines of the character and talk about how in a movie like this, it's Hallmark. One of my favorite lines ever about movies is from Christopher Lee, who said, and I'm not saying this to talk about the movie Double Scoop itself, but just one of his favorite lines is, every actor has to make terrible films from time to time, but the trick is never to be terrible in them. And I really, right, I really feel like, and again, Double Scoop is a Hallmark movie. Not make any statement about it, or whatever. But whatever we hear from theater students all the time,
Yeah.
that they're going for the lead role, and they get a supporting role or a small role with one or two lines, and they just want to mail it in. And what I always try and tell them is don't mail it in. Make it the best 2 lines you can give. Can you talk about that process as far as how you give your character Shannon the best you can give? What is your process for filling out that character and giving it all on screen?
I'll start off by saying that at the little high school that I went to, I was the lead every year in the play. And I say that not to brag or to be like, oh, I was the best, but be like, honestly, no one else really wanted it. So I had this really great experience of getting to do all these leading roles, and it was so much fun. Um, then it was very interesting. I had a similar experience in college, but when I got to grad school, in my small grad acting class, it was 7 men and 3 women. And of the 3 women, the other 2 women were older than me and both very much like beautiful, statuesque leading ladies. And for like the first time ever, it was like, oh, you're an ingenue and you're quirky. Now I played those kinds of roles before, but it wasn't like, oh, you're different than that. But it was like this interesting thing. And I remember getting cast in As You Like It, and I played Celia, who was like to me the one of the classic best friends in Shakespeare's canon, really of like any character. Celia is
I
a
can
classic
totally
best
see
friend.
you as Celia, which is funny. I mean, it's like
I just
casting,
love
but
I
right.
love her so much. And I just remember doing that, and I got to do it with a very good friend of mine, who was like my big sister in grad school. And their love is like so pure. And I remember thinking how amazing it is to get to be a hype girl, to get to be a best friend, to get to like a supporting character. What does a supporting character do? Support. Are you kidding me? That's so cool. Like it really started to click for me. And I started to realize that I could take the skill sets that I had developed in high school, in summer theater I had done, in undergrad, and then in grad school, where it's like, yeah, can I carry a show if I had to carry a show? Sure. And I love that. And that's fun. But
Hmm.
and I remember just thinking there is such a great you really have a special thing if you're playing a supporting character because you get to look if the movie sucks, if the play sucks, they're not going to blame it on you.
Right.
But you know what
Right.
they will say? And not that it matters what people say, but they're gonna be like, oh, I love that part with this person.
Hmm.
Oh, that was love that line that you did. Like you get to reap the benefits of having all the fun and none of the responsibility. It's like me getting to be an aunt and not a parent. Like, oh, I get to have all the fun and none of the responsibility. Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
great.
Right. Did you do any because you've never been pregnant before, right?
No,
Okay.
no,
Did you do any homework as to what it feels like to be pregnant? Like, no, I'm kind of being
no,
serious, even though it
no,
sounds
no, no.
silly. But
I love that you're asking this. So my um I've always um I've even as a kid, and like a young adult, even when I was thinking like, oh, well, I maybe have kids someday, it was always like, oh, if I do, I'll adopt them. I've never wanted to be pregnant, which is interesting because I want to have so many life experiences, even ones that like I want to run a marathon. I'm never going to do it, Greg, but like, do I want that experience? Sure.
right,
But
right,
I've
right.
never wanted to be pregnant. But I think because of that and because of almost this feeling like it's something that I really wouldn't enjoy, I thought about it like a lot. And my sister had a baby 2.5 years ago, and she's currently pregnant with her second baby. And I found out like right before I got cast in this movie.
Okay.
And we're very, very close. And it was I have started having friends that have been having kids and being much more intimately acquainted with all the things in pregnancy has been a real blessing. Also really solidified that, wow, not for me, but what would it feel like? And I think that the costume designer on this was really amazing. And she let me have a little time with the pregnant belly. And I was kind of just walking around with it for like a whole day before we
You did.
shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that
Yeah.
helped, and you felt like that helped you? Yeah, in terms of getting in the mindset.
Definitely.
Well, I encourage all of the Onstage Blog Theater podcast listeners to check out. I encourage everybody to check out Double Scoop, especially Onstage Blog Theater podcast listeners. You can watch it. So if you already have the Hallmark channel, obviously look for it on demand. If you want to see Jacklyn in her acting glory, you can get free trials either on Hallmark Plus or if you have YouTube TV. They offer 7-day free trials of the channel, so you can just go. It's on demand. You can just go and watch it, and keep watching, subscribing if you want, or cancel the free trial. But you can see Jacklyn Collier here and listen to her and Rachel Wagner on the Onstage Blog Theater podcast with episodes roughly once every 2 weeks or so. Sometimes it's two every 3 weeks. It's about two or three a month. And this is technically the official first episode of the On Screen Blog podcast. We made it just so you and I could talk Hallmark movies and Double Scoop, but we're going to try and do some content for this. I know Chris Peterson loves to talk movies, and Jacqueline, if you ever want to talk movies, you obviously have an open invitation.
Oh,
I'd invite
would love to.
I'd invite Rachel, but she has her own YouTube movie channel to talk movies on. So maybe a special guest. Maybe she'll give
Yeah, I'm
grant us
sure
an
she'd be
appearance.
happy to I'm sure she'd be happy to guest. I always when I want recommendations for movies, I'm like, Rachel, tell me what to see.
Right, right. So yeah, no. Check out Double Scoop on Hallmark, and check out Jacqueline on the Onstage Bug Theater podcast. And Jacqueline, thanks for giving us a few minutes, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much, Greg. Bye.